right, welcome to the Real Estate Huddle, where today we're going to be giving a huge help to anyone that's relocating to Denver, because we're going to talk about Denver's costs of living overview. So we're going to tell you how much things cost living in Denver so that you know what to expect and what to plan for and how it compares to other cities out there in the U.S. So let's start with a big picture overview of what is going on as far as costs go in Denver. So housing costs. It's interesting. I don't know how this happens, but our average price is like $780,000 in the entire Denver metro area. But median cost is always a little bit different. So $553 on median cost, and rental prices. Average rent for a one-bedroom place is $1,666 per month, if you can believe that. And then for a two-bedroom, it's $2,187 is the average median rent. And then property taxes in Colorado. We actually have one of the lowest property taxes in the country. We've kept that low for a while until last year when everything just, went up 50%. But 0.49% of home values is where property taxes are at. So that's not a bad rate in comparison to.
They just announced it did not go up this year.
This year?
It went up very nominally.
Yeah, thank goodness. And every 2 years they evaluate it. So next year it might happen again, but hopefully not to that extent. But, compared to California, Texas, Texas has really high property taxes. Chicago is notably
I grew up in
one of the
Connecticut.
worst.
Connecticut was super high.
Yeah. So we're feeling pretty good about our taxes. That doesn't add too much to our payments. And, a lot of average, single family homes here in our market, you'll see anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000 a year in taxes. And so I've heard of a lot of people coming from Texas saying my property taxes are $25,000 a year, and so that can change your payment quickly. Overall cost of living, Denver is 10% higher than the national average, with housing being 30% more expensive than the national average. So that's kind of how that relates to other states. So let's compare this to a few other markets that a lot of people actually move from to come to Denver. What do you guys think?
So you want me to start with
go ahead.
like Austin?
Let's do it.
So Austin, Texas versus Denver. So Austin's overall cost of living is 1% higher than the national average. So more affordable than Denver on that variable. Their housing costs are 9% more expensive than the U.S. average. So still a little bit more affordable than Denver. From a utilities perspective, in Austin, they're about 4% less pricey than the national average, whereas ours are 14% less pricey. So it's curious. I want to know why, but that's the data.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And then you compare it with Chicago. Go ahead, Brock.
Yeah, overall cost of living in Chicago is 14% higher than the national average, slightly higher than Denver's. Housing in Chicago is 39% more expensive than the U.S. average, but still generally more affordable than Denver's. And utilities in Chicago are about 9% less pricey than the national average, compared to Denver's 14% less pricey.
Interesting. All right, so we're feeling pretty good. Other than then you go to LA, right? And in LA, cost of living is 50% higher than the national average. So people coming here, it looks like a deal. Everything looks cheap. And then housing in LA is 137% more expensive than the U.S. average. So, I just had some buyers that sold their home here with us, moving to California, looking around Orange County, and they're looking at they're not happy at 1.5. It's got to be like 1.8, 1.9 to make them happy over there. As far as just a normal home goes. So that's literally where prices are at in some of these nice areas in Orange County. So it's definitely nice to not be looking at that kind of a payment here in our market. And then utilities in LA are 12% higher than the national average, and Denver is 14% less pricey than that. So we're keeping the cost down. Compared to California, very good. But when you compare us to the Midwest, we're a lot bit higher if you compare us to like Iowa, Michigan, some of those northern Midwest states.
South Dakota, North Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
don't bring that up.
Yeah. Yep. So that's kind of how we rank. I think we rank a little bit better in affordability than the East Coast states too. Like a lot of those, like I've heard just how high the prices are in Boston and New York, Connecticut. A lot of those areas are just very extremely high. And And so people come here and think it's a bargain as well. So bottom line is, if you're moving from some of these big cities, right, especially coastal cities, we'll look like a pretty good deal. If you're moving from a landlocked state, we may not look like the most affordable place to live as far as housing goes. But let's talk about transportation. Let's kick that off.
Well, I was going to say, if you're moving from the Midwest, the mosquitoes and humidity are enough of a factor to swallow the bigger
Yeah,
payments.
quality of life, what's that worth?
Yeah,
It's got to be worth 4 or 5%.
It's priceless.
yeah.
So utilities. So basic utilities. The average monthly cost in Denver, it's heating, electricity, cooling, water, and garbage, about $187 per month. That's an average because we get spikes in the overly cold months, overly average.
hot
I think I buy that. Internet, high-speed internet plans average around $60 a month. I pay more than that.
Yeah, it depends on who you're with. So BAM Fiber is coming out in a lot of the local areas, so now we're going to get a little bit of competition in the marketplace.
Yeah, so we went with BAM.
I'm expecting some good things there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I pay 75 for Comcast, so it's not. It started at 60, and
Yeah.
so it's not too far off from that.
Transportation.
Yeah, let's go to that.
So
Right.
transportation, so RTD, Regional Transportation District for Denver. We've got a light rail system that's set up that does a real good setup here, and they provided a monthly pass for $88. So that's buses, light rail services. So that's pretty popular for a lot of the folks in the suburbs that are commuting into the metro area. So that happens. Pretty reasonable price there.
That's so much cheaper than driving.
And paying for parking.
It's and insurance, car insurance these days. Like that's a pretty good deal.
If you drive less miles, apparently you get cheaper rates.
Yeah.
So, and gas prices as of early 2025, the average gasoline price in Denver is approximately 86 cents per liter. You're seeing like $2.50 to $3 per gallon. So it's
Hang on,
kind
that's sorry.
For regular unleaded, yeah, I saw like 309.
I'm trying to
something
try to
like
look up the conversion
Yeah.
from liters to
Yeah.
gallons.
Yeah.
1.07.
More than that, way more than that.
Premium's
Quarts.
still like 350, 360, something like that. But that's about where we're at. Where California is probably in the fives still, right?
I've
As
seen
far as-
5s and 6s. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even Utah. I mean, heading west, it goes up tremendously as you go towards the ocean. So, awesome. And then, as far as just some areas that you might want to be interested in, and just a general overview. First time buyers, you may want to check out areas like Arvada, like Lakewood. Some of those areas are actually on a great side of town, on the west side of town. Homes are a little bit older, but you might be able to get a little better deal, especially in Arvada as you go up north away from the city a little bit more. And Westminster is another one I would throw in there. Broomfield, some of these outlying cities you can get a little better discount on. And then families, if you've got kids and you want activities for kids, Centennial is a great spot. Highlands Ranch is a great spot. Centennial is a little more mature neighborhood, built in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and Highlands Ranch was more 80s, 90s, 2000s and beyond. But you've got some tremendous spots there with like planned developments and communities that have, in Highlands Ranch's case, rec centers, parks, trails. If you've listened to our podcast, you've heard a lot about that. But it's just a phenomenal community for kids and families in general, and really anyone. But
Yeah, in very close
it's
proximity
fun.
for a lot of things too. So a lot of your resources are things that you're going to need. So Lone Tree is kind of an honorable mention in that same kind of that vicinity in that South Metro area.
Totally. Yep. And then remote workers. So if you're not driving, if you like neighborhoods that you may like, if you don't want to care about traffic or anything like that, like you just want to live in the city and be able to walk and have a great walk score, Cap Hill is one that people just absolutely love. And then there's Rhino, which is the North River Art District, is another area that people really like because of all the art districts and galleries. There's cultural attractions. You've got just awesome walk scores where you can walk up and down and really feel like you're in a lot of energy, and a lot of life with people walking constantly. So bars, nightlife, you name it, you've got everything right there.
Makes me think of like converted lofts. It's a good place maybe if you're younger. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
And there's a lot more people taking the commercial space, commercial buildings that are not as popular at this current time to try and renovate those and turn them into residential real estate.
Quick aside, I heard something on the radio just coming in this morning talking about those projects here in Denver of converting commercial and what it takes to reface. And I think that's a fascinating biz. Maybe we should all be sticking some money there. But anyway, I don't know if that applies to Rhino as much downtown. Rhino, there's a lot of older warehouse that are being converted or gotten rid of and starting again.
Well, and you get so many jobs down there too that are walkable, and these people like them use the light rail system, and just it's more, not having to pay for so many costs related to travel, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's a lot less stress when you don't have to worry about paying for parking and whatever else. So that's and it's a lot healthier to walk around everywhere. So
that's right. Just use your Legacy's Benz.
Hey.
That's all you need. So yeah, hopefully that helps, just depending on where you're at. A couple other notables would be like Congress Park, City Park. You've got Wash Park down there. So a lot of city parks and green spaces that are around these homes, that you can either rent or work from. Five Points is another really up and coming neighborhood there.
And University around DU.
Yep. You've got Virginia Village, Bonnie Bray, some of those communities that are very walkable too. And then outside the city, also like walkable areas, you've got Belmar, you've got South Glen down in Centennial.
The old Stapleton Airport area.
Yeah.
Revamped.
Yep. Yeah.
We did
Central
a
Park.
deep dive, Central Park.
Yeah, it's awesome. A Stanley's Marketplace and all of that. And then heading down south in Highlands Ranch, you've got Town Center, you've got the whole Park Meadows area, you've got Central Park down that way too, South Central Park, I guess you'd call that.
You got Castle Rock and the River District down there. So.
Yeah, around the meadows, the outlet shops. So there's like lots of spots around town where you can have some walkability, which is nice.
All right. So if someone's relocating, what are some of the things that you've seen that have helped make a relocation really effective for people?
Man, I think like making sure that you're getting a referral for your mover. You're not just finding them online. That's step one. Making sure that you're reaching out to a local expert in the area, and we post a lot of YouTube videos as well, right, to help people relocate properly and make sure they're having a good, smooth experience. So making sure you're finding that local expert that can help you and navigate the real estate side of things, whether you're buying or renting. I would still have the conversation with a real estate agent just to find out if it makes sense or not for you. Yep. And then find out financing wise if it makes sense for you as well with a lender, and we've got great connections for that. But I think that's the planning stuff that goes into it beforehand before you can, even set your feet on the ground. Visit though. I mean, I wouldn't move to a place where I haven't even gone to visit. So we'd be happy to tour you around and show you some areas or houses too.
Yeah, we've joked on these before, like everything looks pretty darn good in photos.
Yeah.
You got to get there. You got to see the neighborhood. You got to smell.
Yep.
You got to get on the feet on the street.
Yeah. Don't visit it in February. It's ugly in February.
It's true anyway.
Visit in March, April, May. May preferably. Yeah, May, June. It's greening up right now. We're filming in May right now, so it's like beautiful out there and starting to really look pretty. So when the trees are full, Denver's actually pretty lush and beautiful, unless you're from like South Carolina, then you're going to think it's not. But if you're from anywhere else, I feel like kind of normal locations that are not East Coast, I feel like it's going to be a really nice, pleasant experience.
There is very little in this world more beautiful than a May vista of the Front Range that is all green with the snow caps in the distance.
Oh yeah,
it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when the colors are changing too. The leaves, it's incredible. Awesome. So if you're evaluating, anything else? Brock, you brought up the question. Anything else that you think?
One other thing that at least when I was relocating out here, I really looked into cost of living and where I wanted to be, commute times and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But also getting the information on like what is the average cost of houses in this zip code, or like break down the stuff in the area you want to be. And that's something that we can certainly provide for you because that's the thing with real estate is the location really depends on it. So, one zip code and you literally just go across the freeway into a different zip code, it can be significantly different. So the age of home, all that type of stuff. So,
Totally.
and that is information we can provide as well as the school districts and stuff like that and
Yep.
give you an idea of what that's going to look like. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've done so many top 10s too. If you want to know, like, what are the top 10 places to frequent in that area, or coffee shops, bars. We did. We've done restaurants, even like broken it down to pizza places, burgers. Like whatever you're looking for. Like you can find a lot of stuff like that on our Instagram and YouTube channels. So.
yep.
For sure. It's good to know all that stuff. Because if you're coming to visit, that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in, right? It's like, how can I have a great experience with food? Like that is first. Number one, how do I eat well? And then after that,
Sink
figure
the
out
hook.
like,
So Landon travels hungry is what he needs food
Yeah.
right away.
Isn't that rule number one? Never go shopping if you're hungry.
yes. But what my transportation is going to be is secondary to what food am I going to eat. That's number one. So
There's a point here about the altitude.
Yes.
You grew up here, so you've never known different. You grew up in Minnesota. That's sea level, right?
1,500 feet above. So
It's not nothing.
no.
It's totally worth it. But in my case, it took about 6 months till I was,
So alcohol impacts you at a higher rate here at altitude.
should be factored into our pricing.
Yeah, exactly. how far can we get there? So, but fitness. I mean, if you're an athletic person, there's a reason why the Olympic Training Center is down in Colorado Springs, and they're at almost 6,000 feet above grade. Sorry, 6,000 feet above sea level.
real estate talk.
Yeah, and right, so they're giving you that competitive advantage with that altitude. So there's several mountain bike rides that I've been at 12,000 feet, and the exertion level is way more at that altitude than it is even here in the flatlands of Denver. So
Yeah.
No doubt.
Definitely. Yeah. And I would say, like, if you're evaluating, whether you want to buy or rent, here's some things to think about. If you're looking at like a condo, townhome scenario that has like 1,000 square feet, usually like at that rate, you're going to pay about $2 a square foot for a 2-bedroom. Like we said, 2166, I think it was like our average for a 2-bedroom place. And so a little over $2 a square foot there.
$200.
But then after you get to a certain point, it becomes a little more like $1.50 a square foot. So when a place is like 2,000 square feet above grade, you're probably going to pay about $3,000 a month for rent. And then when it gets to like 3,000 square feet, it's even less, like $1.25 a square foot, right? So there's a little bit of like a diminishing return on size of home with rental value. So if you're maybe bunking up with like a few friends or something like that, and you guys want to get a bigger place, you would actually get a better deal,
better value,
right? If you get like a 4,000 square foot house and have 6 of you paying into it, you're going to have a pretty good deal. I mean, it's probably going to be $4,500 a month or something like that. And you can live for a lot cheaper than you could if you're just renting a 1-bedroom, condo for yourself. So that's something to consider. At least I would if I was, single, young, like looking for just friends to hang out with or, have some roommates. You can save a lot of money. Obviously, there's negatives to that as well, as everybody knows, or there
Roommates?
can be. But just from a cost-saving standpoint, that's one way that a lot of people are doing it here in town. We have a lot of just like bedroom rentals, like hotpads.com offers just bedroom rentals. There's rentals.com that offers that as well. That's not just the unit, it's just the bedroom space. And so, you can find those listings as well.
And the nice thing about renting is if you think you like a particular area, you can rent in that area and kind of try on the neighborhood and see if that's where you want to be.
Yep.
So then when you're looking to be the owner, and then you can rent out to the rest of the folks as well. So
Yeah.
then they're paying your mortgage. So
Yep, exactly. And yeah, I mean, if you're buying a 3,000 square foot place, today, that's probably in some of these nice areas. I mean, that's a $750,000 house, a lot of times. And so, if you're putting 20% down, your payment's still going to be somewhere in that $4,500 to $5,000 mark with a lot of cash outlay, right? So you have to evaluate that. I think we've got marginal appreciation going forward, whether it makes sense to rent or buy. And this isn't a rent or buy podcast, but just so you know, kind of that's about what you'd be paying. And then rent on the rent side, that's about what you'd be paying. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I think there's kind of a checklist that you want to go through as you're coming out and relocating. And, step one would be engage with a local real estate agent. so that we can direct you as far as like whatever you're interested in. We can show you the way there.
Yeah, have your priority list kind of established of what's important to you.
Yep, absolutely. And then if you do want to get through properties, reach out to schedule virtual or in-person tours. We've done a lot of video showings and FaceTime showings, so we're very familiar with that concept. And
we're going to actually show you the 5 houses on either side of that house as well and across the street. So you're going to be able to see more than just what's photoshopped in the.
It's a good way for you to get to know us before you're on the ground. It's a great way for us to get to know you. Those dialogues, I do that a lot with videos and nooks and crannies and looking at the neighbors' homes and how far is the school.
Yeah, because what do real estate photos, like professional listing photos, not show you about the house?
What's next door?
Oftentimes you don't get the view, the busy road, odors.
They're highlighting like the best things, right? So we can point out what it looks like, but also like they don't take pictures of the garage space. They don't take pictures of the closets. They don't take pictures of an unfinished basement. Like those are the things that don't look good in photos. And so like we never take them on our listings, but we can definitely tour you with a video. We can show you more of that space.
Set a realistic expectation right away.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And then just prepare for all the other things that we talked about: altitude, the climate, the culture here in Denver. Very outdoorsy community. You've got a lot of people that do keep themselves pretty fit, exercise. Bring your running shoes if you're coming out here, or hiking shoes. But hope this has been very informational. Any last thoughts, guys, before we close it out?
No.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for listening today. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.